connecting to the internet. And welcome back. I think we're live. There we go. Of Raise the Banner podcast. This is episode number 34, the Big Poppy episode of Raise the Banner podcast. I am one of your two co-hosts tonight, Matt Couture, here with JR Mott. JR, how are you doing?
Not too bad, chilling. Ready to get this draft underway. 7 more days.
Yeah, we are officially just a week away. Approximately, I think it's 8 p.m. it starts.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Next Thursday. Yeah, so we're about an hour and a half away from being officially 24 hours away from the draft next week. I wanted to do some Celtics talk tonight, but we're gonna push that to next week. We'll have a guest coming on to do that. Tonight will be primarily Patriots. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. Starting up with Elliot Wolf's comments today. Did you see his comments at all? I'm sure you've seen a little bit.
I watched a little bit of the press conference on my break today at work.
Yeah, so I mean, he came out and said what I would describe as exactly what a GM is going to say. We're open to everything. Sure, we're not set on a QB at 3. Sure, would consider trading down. Blah 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 blah. All the kind of cliche things. Where are you in terms of, not so much of what you would do, but what would you say the likelihood is that they stay at 3 and take a QB versus something else?
I mean, Peter Schrager said on a podcast yesterday or today that we love both Jaden Daniels and Drake May. He doesn't see us moving down from 3. I trust that. I mean, anything can happen because, I mean, it's the NFL draft. Crazier things have happened, but I just think they sit there and they take a quarterback. I mean, it makes the most sense. If we had a quarterback that was kind of developing on the roster, I'd get it if they traded back and got more pieces to use towards now and the future. But you have to get your quarterback now before anything, and then see what happens on day 2. You can move forward, you can move backwards, you can move up a little bit if you want. Even though you're already at the top of the second round, you could try to use 34 and try to move back into the first round on day 1, but just see what happens. See the board falls.
Yeah. I mean, a big picture, if they got the Godfather offer, you got to consider it.
If it's from Minnesota or something like that, I mean, minimum would be 3 to 4 first-round picks. I know I'm saying
if Minnesota came in and sat there and offered 11, 23, 25 first and a 26 first, I would consider it. If they involved someone like Addison, involved. If Denver came and was offering 12 Patrick Surtain, maybe Cortland Sutton in a future first or 2 or something like that. If it's a Godfather offer, yes, you consider it. People, if you follow me on Twitter, you're more than likely think I'm just some May stan, and it's all about there's only one way to a successful draft, and it's a draft Drake May. It's not. It's not that simple. I like Jaden Daniels. I like JJ McCarthy. Arguably more than Jaden Daniels. I go back and forth on it. I would be open to everything. If like I said, if the Godfather offer came, of course you have to consider it. The Patriots, even if Drake May, turns into a star, they need more than what they currently have if they want to win a Super Bowl. But as a whole, as you kind of just said, the quarterback's by far the easiest position. Too many fans think that this concept of just move back, you can get one another year. You'll be bitching about the same concept 12 months from now. Oh, the first round quarterbacks are too bust proof, so don't take them.
And the only thing is with moving back, a lot of fans say, yeah, you can just move back, you can grab a number one receiver as they call it, and a 10-year tackle. You never know how these picks are going to turn out. The quarterback you take at 3 could be a bust. You can move back and you could take Rome Odunze or Brian Thomas Jr. or anybody like that, Olu Fashionow, and they could all be busts. It's literally just shooting fish in a barrel. And
I mean that's the big thing I said. If you traded back, let's just say you took the 3 first from Minnesota, Just three first. Like, what if you whiff on 23? Like, what if you sit there at 23 and you took Tyler Guyton and he sucks? Like, and then you traded Drake May for, and Drake May turns out to be he goes to Minnesota, he turns out to be a star. And all of a sudden you traded Drake May for a 25 first and I don't know, like, who are you going to get 11? 11's an awkward spot because, like, I think the three wide receivers, Brock Bowers would be gone. Unless you go tackle, you're in a fucking pretty awkward spot.
I mean, yeah, Joe Alt will be gone more than likely, so you'll be sitting there with Talisi Fuaga probably, unless the Jets take him at 10. Olu Fashionow, Tyler Guyton. Trying to think who the fuck else.
I'll say it right now, like, if they ever traded back to 11, no doubt in my mind that if Brock Bowers was available, I would take him. I don't care what
I'd much rather just
people
have the
say.
quarterback.
Like, yeah, like no, I completely agree. I'm just saying if they traded back to 11 and Brock Bowers was there, I'm taking him. I think he's that complete of a tight end prospect, that the guy that will just anchor that position and be a very good player for the next decade plus.
Yeah, if he hits.
Matt Ryan hopping in, just not a different Matt Ryan. Number 3 in Juju to Denver for 12. Next year's first, Surtain, Sutton. All right, so you're looking at 2 firsts. Surtain's worth at least a first. Sutton is, I don't know, worth a
third
second,
rounder at this point.
Third? No, yeah, Sutton's probably worth maybe a third. Maybe
he's had 2 ACL tears in the last 5 years.
Yeah, so I would say probably closer to a fourth. So you're looking at, I don't know, three firsts in value. You would assume that Denver next year will be worse than they were this year. JJ might not even in this instance, as Matt said, if they went up to get JJ or even Drake May, they may not play right away, and Denver could be terrible. So, like, that's a deal that long run could possibly pay off, because you could end up with 12, which, again, let's just say they did this deal. You got Sutton as an X wide receiver. So you at least added to the mix a wide receiver. Granted, you don't have your quarterback now. And you got the 12th pick. You could go tackle. Let's say they go Fashanu. And so you go in and you got Surtain, who goes opposite of Gonzo and be just an potentially unbelievably elite duo at corner. But, like, you then go into next year with, I don't know, probably 2 top 12 picks, right? I mean, I would guess that Denver and New England would both be top 12 picks.
I mean, even with that, like, yeah, Denver's shedding, like, salary with Surtain and Sutton, but you'd probably have to add a pick on just for them to take Juju.
Oh, not in this instance. If you're getting a team to trade up to 3, you could attach any fucking name to the bank and they'll take them.
Just give him Tyquan Thornton.
Juju's very cuttable after this year. Like, Denver wouldn't even think twice about taking Juju if it meant to get up to 3. But I mean, honestly, I would probably, I think that this is like the bare minimum for me to even consider. And so
Patriots shouldn't do it no matter what, though. Elliott Wolf's not a dumbass like that.
Again, I've been very straightforward about how this works. If you're Elliott Wolf, you're the Patriots. It's the same concept that the Bears have and that Washington has. If you love the player, so if you're the Patriots now, you're sitting there and you're saying, do I love Jane Daniels? Do I love Drake May? Then when number 3 comes around, whoever ends up going number 2, which all signs are pointing to Jane Daniels, if they love Drake May, there's borderline, like, nothing you could reasonably offer. And I say reasonably because unless, like, that just true godfather offer comes in, to say, I'm trading that pick. You know what I mean? Like, I just said this already. This idea that, like, franchise QBs, it's funny because the people that argue don't take the QB, it's too risky, want to just push the can down the road they'll probably not have another top 3 pick. I mean, they could, but and just, oh yeah, we'll find one down the road, as if it's something simple to do. The Patriots have an opportunity to draft. I would say Drake May would be QB1 in like half of drafts, at least. At
Yeah, and
least.
if you're wanting to kick it down the road, next year your like top quarterback prospects are Quinn Ewers, DJ Ungolele, Will Howard, and who else is it? Who's the kid from fucking
Carson Peck.
Carson Beck? Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the
So,
top quarterback prospects next year.
Matt chimed in again and just talked about the odds for Penix. I don't buy this that much because I just like they were so long for New England because there was zero reports of them meeting with him. The Patriots are doing their due diligence in case they did trade back. Not that they couldn't be interested in Penix, but like I wouldn't guarantee that they take Penix at 12 if they trade.
I like
back.
Michael Penix, but I like Michael Penix, but if you're gonna take if you're gonna trade back and take a quarterback, just wait till the second round and take Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I mean, so if they traded back and got 11 and 23 from Minnesota, maybe at 23 I would consider Penix. But like you said, like I would be Rattler's my QB6 right behind Penix. Penix is significantly more ready and complete and a safer pick. I think Penix at minimum will be a decent QB, but I also think he has a ceiling.
And
Would I
he's had
rather?
all those injuries before the age of 25.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, when I say floor, I mean if he stays healthy, like just as a player, if he stays healthy, then that's a huge if. And his injuries are obviously another factor. But
Ceilings Tua.
Yeah, Rattler's a very interesting guy because I think he's like the perfect guy that you send to like a team that has a veteran and won't need a QB for another 2 to 3 like 1 to 2 years at least. So, Seattle, maybe the Rams. Who are these teams that are going to need QBs in the next year or two? I mean, I guess any team that like is willing to just sit him, he's going to need to sit.
If the Giants don't move up, I mean, they'll probably move off at Daniel Jones next year.
Yeah, and so you could take Rattler and just understand that you're sitting him and you're going to keep Daniel Jones for the year.
That's why I don't understand why the Steelers went and got Fields because they really could have gotten Rattler in the draft if they really wanted to do that.
Well, they gave up like significant. They gave up less for Fields, and they would probably have to give up for Rattler. But no, I agree. I mean, like I said, I like Rattler as a. I mean, I wouldn't take him at 34, but like, maybe a late second round team. Like again, a team that like has a short term window at QB. So like a Seattle or Rams are the two ones that instantly come to my head, without thinking through the league. That just fit as he could come in and sit for a year and maybe take over next year. Maybe he sits even longer, and then it could fit. We mocked like maybe the Jets. That's another good one. We joked about the idea last week when Brady teased that he could come back, and I did a mock about if Brady was to re-sign with New England, what would we do? And it was a trade back. And people are like, well, you could have May sit, it still take May and stuff like that. I'm like, well, if Brady's
coming back, he's not going to want to have May sitting behind him.
Well, not even so much that. If you're re-signing Brady, you're trying to win now. You're not going to dink around and use the third pick on a QB, to take over. So I traded back and I drafted. I want to say I went Fashanu, Lad McConkey, and then in I want to say end of round 2 or early round 3, I took Rattler. And someone was like, "Oh, a Rattler." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, like he's the perfect guy in that scenario where he could sit for 2 years. Brady could come in, play for 2 years, and then you'll know. Teams would generally have a pretty good idea after year 1, even if the guy's sitting on the bench, if he's going to have it. You know what I mean? If he's going to have the physical accuracy, consistency that you see in practice, is he going to have it mentally where he's comprehending things? They would have a pretty good idea even after year 1 where they could say, is this the guy or not?
I think that his stocks, like, also just add on to him, like, finish up on Rattler. His stock is raised a lot because his attitude and just the way he carries himself has changed the last 2 years compared to how he was at Oklahoma. He looks and sounds like a completely different quarterback than he was when he was at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, he's matured. It's the same concept as like, I was thinking about with when everyone was bitching about Caleb Williams and his maturity and like the comments he made and like, yeah, some of the things that he did were a little like, ugh, that's not very pretty type of thing. But like he's 20 years old or 21 years old. Like, of course, some of these kids are gonna be a little bit immature, especially these days. So I mean, Rattler's grown up a bit, and like it's so if he was, and again, we're kind of going off on a tangent because the Patriots are probably drafting QB at 3, but like if they were to trade back, yeah, I mean Rattler's a round 2 guy that I would say, yeah, round 2, round 3 guy that I would say, okay, you trade back for 11 and 23. You're reloading the team. Let's be open to a shot on Rattler because he has the upside. He has that like physical ability that you like.
Just as long as they stay away from Bo Nix is all that matters to me.
Yeah, I'm not a Bo Nix guy. Rattler's biggest thing in this, like I would say that this is the main reason why he's where he is like the mental aspect of the game. Like, can you teach it? Can you not? Oh boy, we got a surprise guest. Not really a surprise guest, but he's actually here guest.
Oh my God!
Sort
Look who
here.
made it.
Pseudo surprise. Yeah, gin rummy let out early. Somebody hit the jackpot in 10 minutes. Oh,
we're talking about Spencer Rattler.
All right. I was watching a little bit because I was waiting for somebody to let me in. It's funny. I was where I was today. They actually had like some like draft preview stuff on the TV, and Spencer Rattler was a topic of conversation. He's I don't know if you already touched on this part of it. He has what 2 or 3 top 30 visits. Or had, because I think today was the last day, correct? After today, no more top 30 visits are allowed, correct?
It was yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, I think he met with, I can look it up. I know he met with the Giants. I think he met with the Vikings, maybe?
Yeah, I forget the exact. Basically what we were just saying is like the physical tools are there with Rattler. If he struggles with it mentally, which like is a massive part of the game. But like if you can get a situation where he sits for a year or 2 and learns under a pro coach, under a pro offense, like yeah, all right. He's 6'1", 215, something like that. He's got decent size, nothing crazy, but he's got decent size. He can sling the ball. He's athletic.
You want to know who else is 6'1", 215 pounds?
This is gonna be
a lot of people, but Patrick Mahomes. So
is he 6'1"?
Yeah, pretty sure they list him at 6'2", which means he's not really 6'2". So I'm going to guess he's more like 6'1". And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say that Spencer Rattler is going to become Pat Mahomes when you're talking about the best quarterback in the NFL. But I heard this on Felger and Naz. They were talking about quarterbacks, and they have the biggest hard-on for Michael Penix, except for Jim Murray.
Dude,
Jim Murray is out on Michael Penix.
Nuts.
And so listen to them being like, and I know that you said McCarthy would take him at 3, which kind of made me throw up my mouth a little bit. But Felger especially, Maz seems to be a little bit.
Wait, let's specify. Just for clarity, you just said McCarthy, and we deal with the JJ McCarthy. Matt McCarthy on 98.5.
Matt McCarthy
said that he would take Michael Penix at 3.
Correct. Yeah, JJ McCarthy would not take Michael Penix at number 3. I think JJ McCarthy would take JJ McCarthy at number 3. But
98.5 is just hiring anybody nowadays.
Or number 1. I guess if you're a quarterback, you'd want to go number 1, right? But they had the biggest hard on for Michael Penix, and so they just came up with like size, right? I guess Penix is 6'2", 215, something like that, and that he's like, well, that's a little too. Felger's like, that's a little too short. Like my line of demarcation is 6'3", and if you think about it, like how many of the quote unquote prototypical quintessential build quarterbacks are there in the NFL anymore that are really successful? Like the guys that are Tom Brady, 6'4", 6'5", 220, 230. Like I feel like those guys don't exist anymore. They're more in the 6'2", 215 range because a lot more quarterbacks nowadays are a little bit more athletic. They're not your sit back and sling it from the pocket. Like I would imagine, and I'll look it up right now because I don't know. I would imagine that somebody like Aaron Rodgers is probably the last of that like 6'4", 230-pound build. I don't know.
Josh Allen's pretty big.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's like what, 6'5"?
So no, yeah, he's sick. But the thing about Josh Allen though is I feel like Josh Allen's kind of he's an anomaly. He's 6'5" or 6'6", 250.
I think he's 6'6" and Herbert's 6'2", because when we talk about like that they're a little bit of a cross for both, Drake May sits right in the middle at 6'4".
Yeah. So Rodgers is 6'2", 225. But like that quote unquote prototypical 6'4", 230-pound drop back passer doesn't exist anymore. Like Allen's build is kind of an anomaly.
No, and even Rodgers is a little bit mobile, like than probably what you're referencing. Like you're obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, Brady was Brady, but like Brady was 6'6", I think he was. He was tall.
6'4".
6'4"?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yep. Tom Brady's playing weight was 6'4", 225. Playing height and weight, 6'4", 225.
Okay, 6'4". That guy that just like exactly what you're saying. Like just sat back and dropped back in the pocket and wasn't really a mobile guy. Yeah, I mean the entire offensive approach has changed. And it's why I have said for well over a year now that the QB position has gone down. And people don't recognize that.
Down? What do you mean down?
Overall QB play has gone down.
It's not been the best.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll specify to go even further. I'm not saying like peak of each player.
You're talking about what the median QB play league wide?
Yeah, game to game, play to play. Like, obviously peak Josh Allen is elite, but you don't get peak Josh Allen every game.
No,
you get turnover.
Yeah, you get a lot of peaks and valleys with QBs nowadays, whereas I feel like you didn't have that 20 years ago.
Exactly, and I think that's the biggest difference is consistency game to game is a lot lower than it used to be. And the answer is pretty simple, and people don't want to hear it because Brady made the comment. He's just being bitter, blah, 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 blah.
People being selfish?
No. They're not as smart as they used to be.
And because a lot of them want to go for the big, flashy home run plays.
No, not only that, none of them. No, it really comes down to just people rely, and this is whether the coaching has changed and developed or the players' self-approach has changed. I would say it's more the second part of the players' approach, is they're relying and they're more focused on their athleticism than they are mastering the position inside the pocket. It's easier and less work for them to sit there and say, I'll drop back and I'll scramble when I need to and I'll make the plays with my legs and my arms, instead of spending the hours in the film room and mastering the game from inside the pocket. And it's why every mobile QB that comes in, and I sit there and say, okay, you're mobile, but you can't throw for fucking shit, you're not going to be successful. Justin Fields is the fucking prime example of that. He came in the NFL. I said, have zero interest in Justin Fields. People go, why? He's so athletic. He can do all this and that.
He looked really good in college.
Oh, man. If you can't read a defense, you're not going to be good. You can't process a defense pre-snap, recognize what they're doing. If you need to make a change, make the change. Or after the ball snap, recognizing what's happening and what's coming to you and being able to adjust on the fly. And we're now 3 years into Justin Fields, and he just got dumped for, I don't even, what was it?
A 6th-round pick?
It was, it probably would have been, I think they had to trade more than that. Didn't they give up Fields and a 7th for a conditional 6th?
Yeah, it can go up to a 4th if Fields like.
Oh, I thought it was a 5th. I thought a 5th was the cap.
It's a conditional 4th.
Yeah, he has to play like 50%.
Oh, okay. which he's
something
not
like that.
which he's not going to unless Russell Wilson gets
They're going to
hurt.
trade him for less than Mac Jones.
Or gets benched.
And the answer is, first of all, the Bears misplayed his market. They probably could have got more. But again, like nobody viewed him as a starter because he can't read a defense. So after 3 years in the NFL, if you can't, as a quarterback, drop back in the pocket, and you don't have to be elite at it, you don't. But if you can't drop back in the pocket and at least on an average sense decipher defenses and make smart decisions, you will never have consistent success at any point.
I would agree with that. And I know that we're not going down this rabbit hole, but that's precisely the reason why I don't give any credence to somebody who says just build around Bailey Zappi. Because that's who Bailey Zappi is. He just played at a lesser school. And yes, he shattered records. He still holds the all-time single season record for passing yards in college football, and I believe touchdowns as well in a single season. I might be wrong about that.
Fun fact, and you've probably heard it, but Austin Reed, who was his replacement at Western Kentucky, led college football on passing yards the following year.
Right. Yeah, he didn't have as many. He didn't have as many as Zappi did, but yeah, he led college football. So, but that's the thing about like certain college offenses and why they don't translate to the NFL is like Bailey Zappi's job in college was drop back, and they had enough talent and they played in such a crap conference that he basically they told him essentially find the open receiver and throw in the ball or chuck it down the field. So he was never they never said hey yeah, they're like they never told him you need to go under center and you need to scan the defense and say, okay, I have single high safety. I have 2 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers set, and there's a single high safety, which means they're probably in man, and you got to decipher a defense. You have to identify. Like he was never told to do that, so that's why you see plays. And I'm not going to remember the exact situation, but I remember they were deep in their own territory against Kansas City. Matt, I think you posted this on your own X account.
Oh God!
He rolled out to his right and threw it to essentially nobody, and it got picked off.
There was 1 Patriots player and 3 Chiefs players.
Yeah, one guy wasn't like super close. It was like he was in like double coverage, and there was a guy in the area, and it was just an awful decision. Is because guys like that are not taught to decipher defenses pre-snap and say, well, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm probably going to get. Oh, that guy just, he came down to the box. Here's what I should expect. Guys don't do that anymore because I think that there's more and more guys coming out of high school and going to big name schools that are super athletic that can get away with not necessarily understanding a defense because their natural athletic ability has gotten them so far, especially at the high school level. The talent disparity, right, obviously gets less and less the further up you go. So some of these guys are coming out of high school as top recruits, and they, in a lot of cases, they're playing against defenses that like none of those guys are going to go to college. So because the talent disparity is wider the younger you are, I think that that's part of the issue. Is so many guys are so athletic now that they can get away with not understanding how to read a defense pre or post snap and go through progressions and find open receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you kind of brought this up about like the school and Zappi is just an example. I don't think that people recognize how much college QB snaps, how little they matter. No, excuse me, not snaps, stats. How little they really matter when it comes to evaluating QBs. For example,
Mac Jones.
If
I was going to go
QB
Josh
stats
Allen.
mattered so much, Jaden Daniels would be QB1, correct?
I would say no.
What do you mean? He threw he had 58 touchdowns and 4 interceptions this year.
Only because Caleb Williams has done it for 2 straight years, and Daniels wasn't really much on the radar last year. I would say that it wouldn't have been a conversation if you were going on stats alone. It would have been, well, Caleb's done it for 2 straight years, and Daniels just blew up, so he's solidified. He would have been solidified QB2 a lot earlier than he has been, but I don't know as if he would have passed Caleb Williams strictly because Williams has done it 2 straight years. But I get your point.
Yeah. So. And obviously Bailey Zappi's a pretty decent example of that. He put up dominant numbers, and he was a late 3rd or 4th round pick. for the Patriots. If you put, and I'm going to pause for this.
Pause for
If you
effect.
put, pause for effect. If you put Drake May on LSU last year, there would be no debate of who QB2 is right now. Drake May would have probably put up stupid numbers with LSU. And Jaden Daniels, if you swap schools, Jaden Daniels probably isn't a first-round pick. If we're being real, he
Probably a third
probably isn't.
rounder.
He probably isn't a third-round pick if Jaden Daniels was with UNC this year. And that's not to say that Jaden Daniels like is a bum and he relied only on his, but like he did not. So no, it's not only that he had two elite receivers; he had a significantly better O line than UNC had. He had a better offense and a better system for him as well.
Better offensive play caller.
Yeah, and yes, the competition at LSU is also higher. So like again, I'm not saying that Jane Daniels would be a bum, but like I would say for certain, like I would be absolutely certain about the concept that if Drake May and Jane Daniels swap schools, Drake May would be the overwhelming QB2 in this draft. Daniels wouldn't even be in the ballpark of like the same consideration.
I'm just gonna say this though.
He'd be in like Michael Penix's level right now, probably.
Go ahead, Ben.
Like fringe first round, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I would say like fringe first round. He'd be in the Bo Nix, right? The Bo Nix Michael Penix conversation, because I think that he still has very, very good athletic ability. Maybe he doesn't throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. He probably has a few more interceptions just because the talent disparity between LSU and UNC would have been pretty drastic. It was drastic last year. But I would say, like he'd be somewhere in that like second tier of quarterbacks. Like they'd be talking about, there wouldn't be talk of, there being a potential fourth top 10 pick for quarterbacks. It would be there's only three, and then because you'd have Williams, May, and McCarthy. And then you'd probably say that Daniels, does somebody jump back into the first round for Daniels because they believe in the ceiling and they want the 50-year option? Like that's the conversation teams will be having about him.
It's very difficult to like make an exact prediction of what he would look like at UNC this year, but like this was his breakout year, so like it's semi-convenient that the breakout year happened when you're going to have two top 20 picks and a wide receiver who I would say in about 9 out of 10 drafts would be wide receiver one. This is literally the 1 year probably in every 10 years that Malik Neighbors wouldn't be wide receiver one. He had two elite receivers, and someone chimed in, so we can transition right to the kind of question. Might have missed it, but where are you at on JJ? I like the player. I mean, I like the player. The idea, and I'll pose this to you guys: if May happened to go to, let's say everyone's fooled, which is entirely possible. What are you doing at 3?
JJ McCarthy at 3.
Yeah. So are you going Daniels, May, McCarthy, or something else? I know you said.
Listen, I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's an amazing athlete, and I think he's gonna be an awesome quarterback. But to fit what the Patriots are doing at offense and just for the future, JJ McCarthy fits that much better than Jaden Daniels.
Fair. How about you, Ben?
So I'm in the same boat. I think, and I've said this for a while, I think the ceiling on Daniels is a lot higher than JJ, but his floor is not as high. I think JJ's floor is a lot higher. And I said this before, I think JJ has the second highest floor of the quarterbacks in this draft. For me, like that's a really tough decision. For me, I really want to be that guy that says, like, and I've said this for a while, is you take the player that has the upside, but to a certain degree, right?
It's a balance.
I heard a pretty solid analogy a couple weeks ago from Burt Breer. He said that like one of his scouts likened Michael Penix to be the NFL equivalent to a 3-point shooter. He's a guy who has an immaculate deep ball, Apparently his hands are huge, which is why he can spin the ball at a high. He has a high, not a high spin rate, high spin efficiency on the football, and that's why I think he has the ability to throw it as deep and as accurate as he does. But he has no mid game. And I think that, like, for me, that's what Michigan exposed in the national championship game. So we talk about guys who have high upside. But it just makes me think that with Daniels was not really a between the numbers guy. So the question becomes, and again, we're not in the interviews, we're not talking to the guy, so we don't know why he didn't really throw the ball between the numbers. And, part of that, I think, I just don't know how much, is a byproduct of Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. being such elite. Like, they can do it all, right? I think that they could run any kind of route. But I think that the style of offense LSU ran, he didn't really have to throw between the numbers because Neighbors and Thomas could easily beat guys on the outside in a lot of cases. It was, go routes, deep crossers, things like that. So I didn't see a ton of that, like, mid to intermediate or short range throwing. But I think, like, not to say that, like, JJ is the safer play, but I think JR kind of hit the nail on the head where he fits the Patriots style much better than Daniels does. Like, everyone wants the athletic quarterback. I think that McCarthy's athletic enough. We just didn't see enough to really know how high or low his ceiling is. So I'd still go JJ. It's just tough because I've said that I love taking the guy with the upside, which is why I like May at 3, because I think his upside is just so good that you can't pass it up.
And here's my thing when I said it fits the Patriots better. For people, they're going to say this just for him to hand the ball off to Ramondre Stevenson 30 times a game. No. We're talking about the future going forward. We're not talking about one season. We're talking about the future, the next 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 years.
Yep.
He just fits what they're going to do much better.
Yeah, so they, and this goes back to kind of, stats in college don't matter too much. I brought it up and I was a little bit trolling online, but like Tua in the year before he was drafted threw the ball, I want to say it was like 26 times a game. McCarthy threw it like 23. Both of them were in the very bottom tier of like attempts per game of QBs drafted over the last like handful of years in the first 3 rounds, I think. And my thing was, okay, well, Tua was a consensus. There was a tank for Tua. Like, that was literally a concept that was going around.
Yeah, everybody thought Miami was going to get the first overall pick to get Tua.
Yeah, so, and then someone came in and said, oh, Tua was more efficient, blah, 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 blah. Well, Tua was thrown to literally, and this is not an exaggeration, literally 4 first-round pick talents. He had Judy, Waddle, Ruggs, and Devontae Smith.
He also had Calvin Ridley for a year.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure, and I think the last year that he was there, Najee Harris was a freshman.
Yes. So Najee was, the last year he was there, Najee ran for like 1,200 yards, and Brian Robinson was his backup. So, yeah. I mean, like,
and not to mention,
he had Jalen Waddle, I think, had the least out of the 4 of those receivers, and he had like 600 yards.
What year was Tua drafted? 2020?
Yeah, so look at the 2019 Bama roster. But anyways, so to JJ, back to the point with JJ is, I get the concept that they didn't ask him to do a lot, but I think that you have to look past they weren't not asking him to do it because they didn't think he could. Like, that's this concept that people have made up, that they didn't believe in JJ McCarthy, so they didn't use him that way. First of all, they were blowing teams out half the time. Like, they were just significantly blowing teams out, and they didn't need to use JJ. Second,
didn't you say he never faced a second half deficit in his 2 years as a starter?
Something like that, or maybe just 1 or 2. I forget. I could find it maybe, but like, he faced like 3 situations where they were down in the second half or something like that, and he played really well in all of them.
Yeah,
he played really well in all 3. When they really needed him. And again, you have to look past the numbers and just say, in these situations, what did the QB do? 3rd and 10, what happened? Well, he had pressure from the left side. He rolled out to the right. He hit a seam. Guy going up the seam. Or again, like, I'm trying to gather my thoughts at the moment, but like, it doesn't matter what the numbers are. It's like, what do you see from the
Right.
player? And
Right.
when I watch JJ play, I see a smart player. I see a guy that's, I would say at this point, significantly underrated with his athleticism. And it's because like he's getting compared to Daniels and Drake May. May's bigger and Daniels is obviously very fast. But like McCarthy's a pretty damn good athlete.
Did he
showed that at the comp, like he had like
did he run the 40?
I don't know if he ran I think he might have run 40, but his like 3-cone drill was like top 5 in the class. Not QBs. Like the entire class. Like he's very athletic.
Yeah,
so he can move pretty well.
So this is from March 2nd. So we're going back like 6 weeks. And it says prior to the 2023 season. Oh, so it says he won't run at the combine due to a hamstring injury, but preseason. So this would have been late summer, early fall 2023. He ran a 4.48 40. That's pretty damn quick for a quarterback. Considering, I mean, I wouldn't consider him a burner, but I think Mahomes ran like a 4.68. He wasn't quick.
Yeah, I want to see pull up the 3-cone.
4.80. Patrick Mahomes was a 4.80 in the 40. And he's
find me the 3-cone drill times this year.
I can
right here. I got him. So 3-cone drill. I mean, I think most people know what this drill is basically at the combine. You would guess, what positions would you guess are the best at the 3-cone drill?
I would assume usually you're talking about
corner, running back.
Receivers, corners, running backs. Okay, this is the top 12 here. There are, let's see, 2 cornerbacks, 2 tight ends, 1, 2, 3 running backs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 wide receivers, and 2 and 1 safety. Oh, and mixed in the dead center of this, tied for the 6th best, was quarterback JJ McCarthy.
Let me take a wild guess to say those corners were Quinion Mitchell and Terrion Arnold.
The number 1 is Kamari
Lassiter from Georgia. Wow.
Yes.
He had 6.62. Ryan Watt ran a 6.82.
And then Miles Harden from South Dakota. So
it went Lassiter at 6.62, Ricky Pearsall at 6.64, Luke McCaffrey 6.7, Isaiah Williams, the wide receiver from Illinois, 6.71, Tyron Tracy, the running back from Purdue, at 6.81, and then tied with Blake Corum, Ryan Watt, and Ben Sinnott, JJ McCarthy at a 6.82. That is freaky athleticism in terms of change in the direction, quickness for a quarterback.
It is.
So,
JR, I don't think Mitchell or Arnold ran at the combine because they're not on this list, and I'm getting into like offensive linemen's 3-cone drill time. So I don't think they ran. And just to add on, you were talking about like stats don't matter, and I know that we've brought this up and Matt's posted this on social media. If you look at Josh Allen's college statistics,
they're terrible.
They're atrocious, right? So he
terrible.
So his first year because he threw a total of 6 passes, so that doesn't count. So if you take that out, he completed 361 of 643 passes, which is good for just over 56% completion percentage,
which is not good.
Which is atrocious for college. Like the elite guys are throwing 70% plus.
Yeah.
And his full sophomore year, which is 2016, he had a 56%, 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, 15 picks. His next season in 11 games, so he must have, I don't know if he got hurt or they just didn't play him at the end of the year, 56.3%, 1,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 picks. So you want to talk about, you don't want, like, that's a prime example. You talked about that stats don't matter, this is a prime example because you're looking at Josh Allen, who talent-wise, raw talent, is a bona fide top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Now,
stats don't matter for QB in college.
Granted, he's been inconsistent, especially the last couple of years because Dayball's not there, and I think that's really kind of showing up for him.
Even inconsistent's a top 10 QB.
Right.
Look out now with no Diggs.
So, yeah, I mean, and who knows what they're going to do? We can dive into that another time, maybe. But with the stats don't matter thing, that's why I've been kind of wishy-washy on like what I really think about JJ. It's not that I think he's bad. It's just because all we can go off of is what he did at the combine, which I think certain things you can't really. I don't think you really need to care about things at the combine. Like, sure, was it really cool to see Joe Milton throw the ball 75 yards downfield? Sure. But he's standing there in a t-shirt and shorts with no defense running at him, and he's just sitting there waiting for a guy to get down there before he just chucks it. And now they're talking about Joe Milton is probably not even going to be a quarterback in the NFL because nobody wants him to play quarterback. But that's besides the point. So I just haven't really known. I think that just given the overall skill set, I think that's why I think his floor is really high. His ceiling to me is just a big question mark because I don't think you really know.
So
because again, it wasn't like they were hiding him; they just didn't need to use him the way that UNC would have needed Drake May, or LSU would have needed David Daniels, or USC would have needed Caleb Williams.
Yeah, so I mean, I think, and my buddy kind of made this example earlier today, is I think like if you put like not so much a floor because I guess he could certainly be less, but like. I would say the lower end of JJ McCarthy is like Baker Mayfield. Like that guy who like the style of play, I think he'll be a little bit smarter and more conservative than Baker. But that style of play. I've used this comp for weeks and months now. I think the upside of JJ is Russell Wilson. I think that they could be very similar guys. Russ isn't like incredibly mobile. But like he could rush when he needs to. He's certainly athletic enough. JJ is faster than Russ. I think Russ has more touch. That's the difference between the two. Is Russ is a little bit more of a touch thrower, and JJ's
in his prime. He may have had the best touch on the football as a thrower.
Yeah, and that's their biggest difference. Is Russ is more of a touch thrower, and JJ's more of a I'm going to throw a fucking seam at you. So, and that's something that a QB can pretty easily, improve on. But like that type of receiver is, that type of QB is kind of, I think, his peak. But
yeah, and just because you brought him up, Russ ran a 4.55 40 when he came out.
Yeah, so
back in 2013.
But all right, let's move in. Let's see if I can do this again. We're gonna do a live mock. Let's see.
How did you guys do this last week?
Right here.
Screen share on PFF.
Oh, and then what did you guys do? Just discuss who you would take based on results, or what you would do based on results.
We went through the picks, yeah.
And okay, I feel like I'm gonna be on an island with what I want to do at 34.
Well, that's why we're gonna come to like a consensus agreement. Like that's how he and I worked it out last week. Was we discussed what our 2 points of view were, and then come to like a common ground and go from there.
Yeah.
All right. So
now, real quick, are we going to do this to be accurate? And I say that like, I think we're at a point where I play around with PFF's mock, and it kind of spits out the same results for the first 2 picks every time. But if they mock anybody but Caleb Williams for the Bears, are you going to restart this?
I guess that. But I'll say if anyone other than Caleb goes, we'll restart it. But if
you're right, if Drake May goes number 2, then we're going to play it out.
Yeah, let's play it out.
Play it out like it's a real draft, because like Adam Peters said, we're about to finalize who we're gonna pick, because you'll know if that's gonna be Jaden, because it's smoke screen season.
Yeah, so all right, let's see.
It is. It's funny. Did you see what he said today, JR?
There we go.
Alrighty.
Drake May goes 2.
Oh.
Drake May goes 2. All right, so boys, what are we doing?
Well, we just talked about this a few minutes ago. I think so here's the silly thing, right? Like, and this is one of the things that I laugh about when I see mocks on social media. Is like they're like, oh, we could probably, because of the mock draft, it's going to let me take the player I want if I trade down. Like we could easily take one of the click on the trade, and see who's offering picks. I'd be willing to bet you if you traded, because you can mock, like Pro Football Focus will let you take 5, 37, and 69 for the third pick, which is not a realistic trade in real life. But you could theoretically take that and still get a quarterback at 5. But I think that realistically, we just talked about this a few minutes ago. I would say we go JJ here.
Yeah, well, that and you brought up a good point. When I see someone like, oh, let's trade down to 5, like the Chargers aren't trading up to 3.
Correct. They're not going.
What are we doing?
Like,
So
well, I mean, they might call, because if the Chargers are dead set on taking a wide receiver because they have none, and they're like, wow, like we really need to get Marvin Harrison here, then,
I just don't think they're going to be like that. I think
mean,
that Neighbors is significantly close enough.
I'd be willing to bet you that they'd at least be willing to pick up the phone and call Elliott Wolf and say, what's the cost to get to 3? And then when Elliott Wolf hangs up the phone, they're like, okay, we got our answer.
I mean, sure. I mean, I guess they'll call and to just check the price. But all right. So, I mean, I think that's our answer.
JJ McCarthy is my go.
All right. So and I've seen people, play around and say, okay, well, maybe we trade down to 6 here.
And then here comes the Vikings trading up to 4 to take a quarterback.
Exactly. And so that's why I've been
which is what would happen in real life. It's not going to happen in the mock, because the computer's not going to simulate a trade up.
I'll say this. If the Giants traded up to 3 for Drake May or Jane Daniels, I do see a possibility where McCarthy falls to 6. Because I said this to you yesterday, Ben, off not online, whatever. Is like, I think that there is a more realistic chance that the Vikings or the Broncos don't trade up into the 4 or 5 spot than I at least would have thought maybe a few weeks ago. I just think it's a little bit less likely than it certainly could happen.
I think, though, that if the Giants were to get stupid with an offer and move up and take a quarterback, I could see one of those other two teams getting like cold feet, so to speak, and pulling the trigger on a stupid offer because they don't want the quarterback falling to the Patriots. I agree with you, but I could see if the Giants get aggressive, I could see the Giants or Broncos being like, okay, well, now we have to.
Yeah, and in this, I mean, we could play around with it forever. But all right, let's take. Oh boy, this is going to cause chaos. But all right, let's take JJ McCarthy. So now we go down Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, Dunze. Where is Marvin Howard? That's not happening. But
so here's Drake May. Whoa! Oh no, Drake May went number 2. That was stupid. I'm sorry.
So Daniels fell to 11 there, which it's relatively unrealistic, but that doesn't hurt us here. Worthy.
So pause real. So this is the spot where, and I think they both already went. Tyler Guyton and Amarius Mims. I don't think it's not 100% right, but I have this strong suspicion that if there is a tackle that falls into the mid to late 20s, the Pats are gonna, because it won't cost a ton. Like if you were to call
Wolf's comments today about the O-line were, I mean, and I don't buy into it too much.
I didn't hear the comments. I just saw this.
He basically was kind of like, I think our O-line's like decent. Like they're basically saying like the O-line's better than people think. And like in a general sense, I kind of agree. They just have the left tackle hole.
Would you be that surprised if, given the current status of the O-line, that they had wide receiver ranked higher than offensive line on their draft board?
No, I would say, like, personally, I'm slightly leaning left tackle. But like if they went wide receiver at 34, or they traded up for like a wide receiver, I would not be shocked. But, I mean, we can't see who's on the board exactly.
That's the one thing I don't like. But like 80 Mitchell is still on the board. That's the one thing
I pulled up on my phone last week and just looked at the
Matt, scroll up all the way, like go through them.
Yeah, so Daniels versus Arnold, Latham, Fuagu, Mitchell.
Mitchell's not going to go. I mean, obviously this is I don't think Mitchell goes that late.
See if Fashion.
So we got McConkey. You got A.D. Mitchell. Worthy has been going early in these drafts lately.
Yeah, they had him going 25, which is I don't think Green Bay would take a wide receiver at 25.
No, but it is. We got to do.
Man,
this how
he'd
it
be
plays
fucking
out.
nice in that offense, though.
Yeah.
So you got McConkey here. You could trade up McConkey. You could trade up for Mitchell.
I don't love trading with the Bills, but that's just because it's the
no,
Bills.
but we could play it out one more pick and I guess try to trade with Detroit.
If I really love Olu-Fashanu, or what's his name? Not Kieran.
Fashanu, you mean?
Is King? Yeah, no, his last name's pronounced Fashanu. It's not Fashanu.
Oh, it's Tony Fautanu, the kid from Washington.
Not Troy. No. I'm talking about who fucking Kingsley Sumatia.
He's a guy that you could probably get at 34.
Well, he's been going in the first round a lot.
Yeah, him and he also has a weird name I can't pronounce. Kieran, the kid from Yale.
Kamiran Emeteji.
Yeah, that sure. We'll go with that.
I hate butchering names.
Both of those guys have started to slip on PFF's big board. Like I remember both of those guys being like top 50 on their big board, and they're not there anymore. Like one of those, like in a lot of mock drafts I was doing a couple weeks ago, he would be at least one of them would be gone before 34, and the other one would be if you don't take him at 34, you're not getting him at 68.
Yeah. All right. So what do we want to do here? Let's hold on.
So
they went Chop Robinson.
Yeah. So do we think what are Baltimore's wide receivers look like? They have Bateman. This is no semblance of any order. They have Bateman, Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
Who's there? Did they have
Aguilar.
OBJ last year?
Yeah, they had OBJ last year. Aguilar, I don't know if he signed a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal. I don't know if he's still there.
I'm going to bring up their depth chart real quick.
I mean, we don't even have to dive. Well, I would say wide receiver is very much a possibility. They could use a right tackle. And obviously they could go edge or corner here. But you also got to think San Francisco generally in this instant, obviously Ayuk is a wild card. They might not go, but then you have Kansas City and Carolina that could both very much go wide receiver. So McConkey and Mitchell are both there. Do you want to trade up for it? Do you want to play it out and see if because we got 5 picks.
So I'm going to bring up on my screen.
Apologize for that. I have a corgi puppy that loves to go crazy outside, so I just wanted to check on her.
I just want to see.
Jared, where are you on this? We have the 29th pick. McConkey and A.D. Mitchell both there. Excuse me.
Oh, hold on. I got to do this here.
Oh, if it's one of the two, it's A.D. Mitchell.
No, he's trying to see do we want to trade up for a wide receiver or sit at 34 and see if one of them falls.
Well, I can see the Ravens taking a receiver. I can see the Chiefs taking a receiver. The Lions could do anything.
So,
wait,
I want to look at offensive line.
Wait, who's still available? Is your guy?
That's what I was saying. That's who I really want. Like if they're gonna trade up in the first, I really want Olu-Fashanu now.
I just don't see.
He's gone.
No, he's still there.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Troy Fatenau is gone, and Talisi Fuaga.
He went 7.
I was gonna say I saw him come off the board.
Okay.
So for offensive linemen that are still on the board, I don't want Graham Barton because he's projected to be a center.
Barton's off the board.
Jordan Morgan projects as a guard because he has short arms. And then you have Kieran from Yale and Kingsley from BYU, who,
and in my opinion, Patrick Paul, who I think will go in round 2.
Patrick Paul will be one of the first offensive linemen taken day 2.
He's pretty far down the list on PFF.
But he ends up going in the top
But remember,
45.
it's PFF compared to what teams rank him.
Yeah. Well, even then, Patrick Paul ends up going in the top 45 in this all the time. But all right, what do we want to do? Let's get the ball rolling.
Let's see what happens at slip to 31.
All right.
Well, there goes
Kingsley Sumatia. So you're looking at Kieran Menegy.
So now, yes. So I would say,
personally, at this point, I would play it out.
Go ahead.
Because because you're looking at 2 receivers that you like in 3 picks. If they both go in those 2 picks, so be it.
Then at that point, trade back.
Yeah, it's obviously a risk reward, and if they love McConkey or Mitchell, like go get them. But it's a little bit of a numbers game of trying to predict.
Well, the other thing too, though, right? Like what is hold on. Don't actually make an offer. Don't offer the trade, but see it. Could we send a 6th round pick with 34 and get 31? What's the cost to move?
I'm not going to do PFFs, but I'll do the draft tech. So 34 is worth 560, 31 is worth 600. So by their measurements, we would have to send a bottom level 4th, which we own. So we could maybe send them 137, which is an early 5.
I would have sent them. I'm talking about a future pick.
Okay, so you would probably need to send them a future 4th to make that swap. So maybe you get away with 2 fifths, but okay. I don't think they're moving back for a 5th.
Yeah, just let it fall.
All right, let it play out.
Wow. That's a surprise. Mitchell goes. I mean, I guess not if they trade Ayuk.
True. Okay.
There you go.
All right, here you go. So, all right. So now that we can see, wow, Kool-Aid didn't go 1st round in this mock. That's surprising.
It's more random than it is PFF's big board.
Yeah. So we can go McConkey. Keep going down.
You got McConkey. You can go Kool-Aid.
I'd rather trade back.
So hold on. So what are the offers?
You got the Chargers.
So you could so 34 to 37 probably also gets you
not that much.
Maybe a 4th rounder this year.
So that is worth 30 points, and that is worth about 152. So the Chargers do the Chargers own something in that range? I would say let's put a premium, and you could probably get 140 for him. 37 and 140 for 34.
What did LA take in the 1st round? It was Joe Alt, which means they're offering you to trade up because they're going to draft McConkey. So if you want a wide receiver, you're not getting McConkey if you trade back.
So I found in mocks here, if we trade back just a little bit, we kind of get left in an awkward spot where
I see
there's not a tackle or wide receiver I love in that spot.
All right, then let's just see what look and see what tackles are available and see what receivers are available.
So you got Kieran. You got Rosengart, who goes a lot earlier. He's ADP all this, but he goes in the 2nd round all the time. Patrick Paul is the same way.
Yeah,
Coleman's been shot up the PFF draft board, and then you go at wide receiver. I mean, I'm going I like some of these guys, but I'm going McConkey if there's any of this.
Let's see what we can get from LA.
Well, what are the other offers?
Yeah.
Well, there's no specific offers, but
Well,
I would say
what other teams are willing to trade up?
so. This is an interesting spot, and I've mocked this a few times.
Could you get 41 and either 88 and or 91?
So 41's worth 490, 70 points. So you're looking at about 112. So probably, I mean, maybe 91 and you give something else.
Like 180.
Yeah, 91 to 1. Hold on.
See if you can get 41 and 91 for 34.
No, you're going to have to give up more than that. You'd probably have to give up 137.
See if that'll work. Because you can all see if you.
I think you really realistically have to do this. I know PFF will allow this, but that Green Bay is not doing this.
See what they do for 180. Just see what they do for 180. See if they'll accept it or not.
Yeah, they'll accept it. If they would do this, never mind without 180. I just I view that as rather unlikely.
Yeah, like realistically.
I mean, I think you could do something like,
and then give 169 too.
No, they have 169. We could give 180 and they give us 202. I think that could be.
So here's.
Oh, excuse me. No, so if we do 91 and 137, that's basically, I think, even swap. But do you want, is that what you're shooting for? Where, you're just looking to move up later instead of add more picks? I would say, from a general standpoint.
Well, and Green Bay's not that.
So Ben, you've sent me this mock before in someone mocked it on one of the mocks. Is that it's 34 for 44, 112 in a 2025 fourth.
I'd do it.
I think that might have been what we did last week, but I don't give a shit. I think it's a very reasonable spot, and in this scenario, this would be which I deem kind of realistic, where the Raiders trade up to get this fella right here.
Yeah, well, so Roman Wilson's still there.
Yeah, right. Who are the other offers? So we have LA, Green Bay, and who else?
The Giants at 47, and then Detroit and Denver. Denver's not considerable. It's at 76.
I would do the Raiders deal.
You could do the same with the Giants. So the Giants, you could probably get.
You think you can get? What if you did 47? What if you did 47 and 70 instead of 107 and a fourth? Where does that fall on the draft tech chart?
So 47, so 130 points, which ends up being about 92. So
if you trade, if we want 70, we'd probably have to give up 103.
Okay, so hold on. 47 and 70. 47 is worth 430. 70 is worth 240. So that's what do we get?
I'd do the most realistic.
Yeah. No, well, that's what I'm doing. 430 and 240, which is 670. So our 34 is worth 560. So we need 110 points, which is. I mean, so you could do this, that. But again, is that what?
Yeah, but I don't know. But I don't know if I want to trade back.
That's why I would say so. I think either of these work.
I would do the first one. 47.
The Raiders is technically better because it's 3 spots closer in round 2.
I would do that.
Are the Raiders on the list of a team willing to make a trade?
Yeah.
And where are they sitting?
44. Like I said, Ben, someone mocked this online, and I remember you sent it to me, where the Pats move back to 44 and get 112 in a 2025 fourth, which theoretically will probably be top 15 in the round.
I'd do it.
You want to do that?
Well, so if we trade back, we're punting on wide receiver.
Not really.
To a degree.
Not really.
You're punting
on. No, you'll still get. I mean, you're punting on McConkey.
This is one of the deepest wide receiver classes in the last few drafts.
You're still going to have – you're still probably going to have Roman Wilson, maybe Xavier Legette. You'll still have Coleman, McMillan, Polk.
McMillan will still be there.
Javon
Baker,
who they had on a top 30 visit, so they like him. I mean, yeah, so here's my thing, right? Like, I think so. I'll say yes, like general consensus. I'll join with you guys and say make the trade back with Vegas. And because my thing is that I think because in this mock, right, I don't think the Pats are gonna want to move up for an offensive lineman unless they fall past 25. And in this case, I think both Mims and Guyton was here on a top 30, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think Mims was, but Guyton was. So I think if one of those guys falls far enough, they'll pull the trigger and move up. But I think in this case, they'll trade back.
Yeah. So his father was notorious for loving to add extra picks in the middle rounds and taking a bunch of shots on these guys. Wolf today made the comment that like more picks the better concept. That's a widely general concept because like when you have the third pick, it's a completely different discussion. Yes. But at the 34 pick, when you could say, and this is my opinion, most of the guys that are going to be available at 34, maybe a guy falls and it's a different story, are going to be very similar to the guys at 44. Like very similar. So if they could add another 2 picks and one of them being a top 112 pick, I'm for it. So all right, let's play it out. So we got Bone. They traded up for Bo Nix, Kool-Aid, Max Mellon. Oh, I love Max Mellon. Patrick Paul, Lad McConkey, Lallister, Polk.
There's Polk. Okay, so I think we should go tackle.
So that leaves Kieran. It's really just Kieran in this level. I guess
Blake Fisher.
You could go Rosengarten.
I think that's early for him.
I mean, he often goes at this level.
I would prefer Kieran Amedeji. I think he's a developmental
I would go
tackle.
Kieran. A wide receiver.
I mean, you could always go receiver now and then trade back up if you're.
I think balls. JR, I think at this point we went Roman Wilson.
We did. We went Drake May and Roman Wilson.
We'll mix it up. Ooh.
I say go Kieran Amedeji.
You want to go Kieran?
Yeah.
JR, how about you? I mean, Ben, how about you?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to watch how this plays out because we could maybe trade up. Giants take Legette, Coleman.
You could probably get Wilson right now if you wanted.
So you could trade up for someone like Wilson. I mean, I'm higher
still on the board.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm higher than you guys, but McMillan's still on the board. Javon Baker's still on the board.
Javon Baker might be there at 68 though. That's the only thing.
So McMillan could do. Wilson probably isn't.
Yeah, Wilson's probably not on the board at 68. McMillan.
Would you rather go Roman Wilson again and get JJ his number 1 target for Michigan?
Fair point of getting JJ.
There's chemistry and familiarity there. It's a safety blanket for him.
I like where your head's at.
So 68 to 58.
You'd probably have to,
is worth 250.
You'd probably have to use maybe
70.
You
need to give up 112.
I was going to say you'd probably have to give up 112.
112 is an exact even match.
Do it.
So wait a minute. If it's an exact even match,
see if you can squeeze like 202 out of them.
Well, of course you can.
Yeah. What happens? I don't know. Call me crazy. Is it weird that we're using a pick that we acquired because essentially you gave up 34 so that you could take a tackle and a wide receiver?
Well, it's essentially trading 34 and 68 for 44, 58 in a 2025 fourth.
That's right, because
So
we got that's right.
You
'Cause we
moved
got,
back 10 spots, moved
we
up
got
10 spots, and added a 4th.
that's right, because we acquired the 4th next year. So it's okay. And then what? We draft Roman Wilson.
Yeah.
So it's fine with me if you want to do that.
Yeah, trade up.
All right. Boom.
So now the question becomes,
He's right there a second.
He's the second guy available. So the question is, before you draft him, do you think, like, at this point on the board, do you think that Wilson at this point is a better pick than McMillan? Like,
Yes.
are we only picking Roman Wilson because he has familiarity with JJ? Are we picking him because he's the better player?
Personally, I have McMillan higher by 1 spot, I think. But it's like, crossing hairs, and I like the familiarity, but at the same time, if we're being realistic,
I would take
Hughes,
the better
who's
player.
the wide receiver, who's the wide receiver coach for the Pats, just spent the year with Washington. So he has he has more experience on McMillan and Polk and Odunze than any single coach or executive outside of
Washington staff.
Seattle's OC, who was Washington's OC.
Yeah, and in terms of the player, they're basically the same build. McMillan has an inch on Roman Wilson, but they're both 6'1". What did McMillan weigh in at? Wasn't he closer to 200 pounds?
I think he was
I thought he was like
let's see. Well, according to PFF,
he's 192.
Roman Wilson was 6'6", 192.
But he weighed in.
McMillan
weighed in heavier than that at the combine, though. Hold on. So Roman Wilson's combine measurements were 5'11", 185.
Okay, and Jalen McMillan's, let's see, was
I think he was like
6'1", 197. 6'1", 197. So he's definitely got a little bit more size.
And they basically play the same game. Like their style of play is very, very similar.
Personally, I would go McMillan just because I think he's a slightly better player. Again, we're splitting hairs because I really like Roman Wilson too. But there is also the chemistry effect, which I don't think is a big deal. But, McCarthy obviously knows Roman Wilson very well. What would you do, Ben?
I would take McMillan.
Oh, Jesus. All right, I'm gonna flip a cashew cover right now, and that's
just say, "Hey Siri, flip a coin."
So
okay,
just to
all right, so
to compare.
Hold on. So heads will be McMillan,
Roman Wilson, and then tails.
Okay,
will be
heads
McMillan.
will be Roman Wilson. Tails will be McMillan. Hey Siri, flip a coin. It's tails.
All right, McMillan.
I don't know if you can't.
No,
you can't. I can't see it.
The background. I trust you.
All right.
We'll trust the Matt Couture.
It's rigged.
He doesn't like Roman Wilson because JR likes him.
All right. So here's the other part of this too, right? So probably at 103. And I know that he probably won't fall this far, but when I do mocks myself, my favorite player to take at 103 is Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State. I don't know as if he'll actually be there though.
He's probably gonna be there.
I think he's gonna be a top 3 round pick at this point. And I've seen some people put him as tight end 2 now.
Behind who? Bowers?
Yeah.
Wait. You said 2? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, above Sanders. All right, so it's tough to make trades at this point because you can't tell who's available. Xavier Thomas isn't. Yeah, let's just play it out.
I would just let it fall. You got 10 teams ahead of you. Like, you go best. You could go best player available at this point, but also at the same time, There's been
Okay, so
Snyder. All right.
All right.
So
So I do like Cade Stover if you're going to go tight end.
So Christian Mahogany came in for a visit recently.
yeah,
Michael
good.
Hall is
fucking DC.
underrated. Jared Wiley came in for a visit. Cameron Kitchens is a Alonzo Highsmith Miami guy.
Jarian Jones is a decent corner.
All right. I've watched this guy for 3 fucking years now. And I watched what's his name? Jarvis Brownlee for almost fucking 5 years. All right. Jarian Jones is 10 times the player that Jarvis Brownlee is, and I don't see why people are rating Brownlee higher than Jarian Jones.
Quick side note, Ben. Do you see his rank now?
Yeah, he's skyrocketed. Like Isaiah Davis is not going to be a late round pick like we had hoped.
I want to take credit for that just a little bit.
That's fair. You were on the Isaiah Davis train long before I was, and then I watched highlights and I jumped right on with you.
I personally think that I am the only reason why his board is rising.
Yeah, PFF was like, "Who's this McIntyre guy talking about Isaiah Davis? Maybe we should jump him up the rankings a little bit." Wait, go back up a little bit. Where was?
So there's also, I think he visited the Patriots too.
He's also underrated. No, wrong way. Slowly go the other way. Trevondre Sweat, other way, has been kind of falling down boards. Other way. There you go. Yeah. So his ADP is 84th, and he's now in the 120s. Supposedly he had a DUI. I think that's what I read. So the other thing too is if you're sitting at 103, who's at the top of the board on PFF's board? So go back up.
Top of the board?
Yeah, so the thing here is I would love it if pick 137 turned into Muhammad Kamara, but he rarely falls that far. You almost have to you can take him at 103, but he tends to go in the 120s. So usually you have to trade up from 137 to get him.
I would take Kamara here.
Yeah, so he ends up going in the late 120s, so before 137. I mean, I wouldn't hate the pick. I usually with this, like the last time I did a mock myself, Ben Sinnott was still on the board, so I ended up taking him, but Kamara just didn't fall to me at 137. So I mean, I wouldn't hate the Kamara pick here because I'm really high on him as an edge rusher, and they certainly need that.
Jared, where are you on this?
What's it between? Is it between Cade Stover, Muhammad Kamara, and who else?
Probably it could. You really could be anybody.
I think
Mahogany.
I think he's a very possibility. The dude can just play. Like I really like him. The dude can just flat out play.
You talking about Kamara?
No, Cameron Kitchens.
Oh, he's the safety from Miami.
Yeah, his RAS score kind of is plummeting him down boards, but like the dude can just fucking play.
So the thing about I also, and I do this a little bit more than you do, Matt, given their safety situation, I just don't see them pulling the trigger on a safety in the draft.
Yeah, but he's a free safety.
Yeah, but still,
they don't have a traditional free safety.
But they don't play a traditional free safety either.
Well, they did when they had one.
I mean,
they just didn't have one last year.
I mean, fair. I just don't know if safety is a 4th round need for them.
You could always get the kid from Air Force in the later rounds. Trey Taylor, I think his name is.
I mean, another guy that I like too is Jalen Simpson out of Auburn, who you can get later in the draft. But again, he's more of that versatile safety that can play all over the place. So I don't know if he's a true. I don't know if he's a true free safety type of player. I don't mind Jarian Jones. I mean, me personally, I would go with Muhammad Kamara, and that's strictly based on best available player.
Jerry, you all right with that?
You know I'm always going to be down with Kamara.
At a position of need, he's the best available player at that spot.
All right, if there's anyone you want to trade up for, we can look when we get a little closer.
If Javon Baker's not gone.
Wait, he's still available?
Yes.
No.
Pause the draft. Just Control F, Baker.
The fuck is
You're
going on?
asking him to do some fucking whiz kid computer work right now.
Nothing happened for me.
So it probably means he's still on the board.
He's on the board still.
If you hit Control F, well, you have a Mac. Do you even have a control button on a Mac computer?
Yeah, Control F. Nothing happens.
Well, you got to click into the PFF screen. Now hit Control F.
Nothing.
You don't get a drop down?
Are you running right here, you fucking jackasses?
Oh.
Well, you scrolled right by him, your fucking fast fingers.
I blame your Mac for not knowing how to utilize the find feature.
All right.
$2,000 laptop can't even use find.
That's why I'm using my
$1,200.
PC. Fucking $4,000.
So in all honesty, if you're looking at guys like if Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, pause for actually it's our spot. Go back up. In the there you go. So keep going. Oh, also Chris Abrams Drain. If those types of guys are still available in the mid 120s, I'd consider moving up for one of them.
Yeah.
Because
he came in for a visit.
Chow, Smith, Wade.
Caden Wallace came in for a visit.
I wouldn't hate the idea of Will Shipley.
DJ James.
That corner would help. He's pretty decent.
He's revving my engine right now.
Honestly, I think I would say that we can trade up from 180 for him.
He's probably going to go in the 6th round anyways.
He will in this draft.
He's realistically
I think he's going to be going. He's going to go to the top 160, 150 maybe.
Yeah, I think he's got mid 4th round potential.
Yeah. I like DJ James out of all these guys so far.
We do need a corner.
Just see what corners are available. Kamal Haddon is really good.
This Cam Hart. Miles Harden is a decent guy, but
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I don't really love.
Just based on what you're looking at,
game.
He plays not that this is necessarily a bad thing, but he doesn't play Division I football.
Yeah, which generally I don't care too much about that.
If you can play, you can play.
I know,
Mitchell.
But if you look at his PFF scores in the games against subpar talent, they're not that great.
Yeah, Chow, Smith, Wade. I just don't really like his size. He's a playmaker. I go back to DJ James.
Yeah, if you're gonna go,
this is
man in zone. Man in zone.
This is my thing. That is a big thing for me.
Yeah, the only issue is his size concerns me. He is
165.
He's thin. He's thin as hell.
He's taller for a corner, but he's not.
Yeah, but we see scrawny corners are successful all the time.
Yeah, it all depends on how hard he's willing to work. I just look at
that and the size of receivers have gone down.
Yeah, that's true. What's the write up on Cam Hart?
He's more of a zone guy. He's more of a zone guy.
I'd rather go DJ James.
Thoughts, JR?
I like DJ James.
Done.
So,
right.
so if we're thinking about,
Jalen Coger. Wow.
Oh, he
There goes
went. I was gonna.
there goes Jaheim
Oh.
Bell. Jaden Sheridan goes 161. Did he shoot up draft boards in PFF?
I think so.
Because he used to be a guy you could get like the 6th or 7th round.
All right, I have a tight end that don't hate on me right now. AJ Barner from Michigan.
I do like him. By the way, we're not taking him because he's absolutely not going to be here. I'm not even going to bother.
And we could do a Bill Belichick's do and take a punter.
No.
I was joking.
Is it Michael Barrett? I like Michael Barrett. He's a pretty good linebacker.
So
Trey Taylor's here.
So I've done.
Is it Dylan? A Dylan
Lobb. So go back to the top of the board. I did a mock where I took Bo Limmer at this spot, knowing full well that David Andrews probably is not here for very many more years.
Well, we have Jake Andrews too, so
yeah, I was gonna say it depends what they feel about Jake Andrews. This guy played right guard too.
Yeah, he moved to center last year.
Holy shit! Look at that pass block rate. God damn. The set pass block rate. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
That's fucking awful.
Although I'd be curious to know what he looked like last year, because if he moved over to center, probably
we're taking Torrey Taylor.
No, we are not.
No, we are not.
All right. Let's see who else is available. We just went corner. I don't even know if this guy's gonna be available.
How about we double dip at receiver?
Or double dip at tackle.
Who's available at tackle?
So we could go Barner. I wish you could sort this by ADP. Oh, what the frick?
That's a Christian Boyd in my mock yesterday.
If he's available. This guy's a decent option. I've seen him mocked a few times. He has experience, I think. Yeah, he played right guard in 2021.
But do we need? But the question is, do we need a guy on the right side?
No, Mike's staying there.
Right, like Onwenu's there. Although we don't have much in the way of a right guard.
City so.
Oh, Elijah Jones.
I mean,
Elijah Jones fell.
It's because his rank here is so fucking low.
You know what I'm looking at.
Where is he going to?
Bob Means is finally in the simulator.
Who could take him?
Tyquan Underwood.
Maybe at 193.
See what's that tackle?
Not much.
Nathan Thomas interests me.
Frank Crum was on the Felger and Maz big board for tackles, but he's skinny AF. He's like 6'7", 310 pounds. Basically takes 60 pounds off of Trent Brown, and that's what you got. So you don't think Javon Foster falls to 180?
No.
Okay. He's gone. He might be a day 2 guy. Never mind.
A day 3 guy.
Never mind a round 6.
Yeah.
He's going. I would guarantee he goes before the end of the 4th round.
All right. Yeah.
So. I would say. I mean, is it
Jalen Harrell?
I was gonna say. I mean, if we're gonna go safety, which I think is like corner, I think it's a sneaky need. Like my preference would be to go with Jalen Simpson. I don't think you have to take him this early. Well, I guess Matt's just gonna
Simpson.
He's just gonna fucking do it, I guess.
No, I think he's a guy that could go like he might go a little bit earlier than that.
The Texans have back-to-back picks in this round. I mean, not that it matters at this point.
All right, it's probably to do with the Diggs trade.
Oh, that makes sense.
Would you rather Means or Cephas?
Just based off like most likely to be picked, I would say Means because like
I don't know
connection with.
I don't know anything about him.
He went to Pitt. Tequan Underwood, who's our assistant wide receiver coach, went there.
Oh, and by the way, Evan Lazar Alex Barth loves him.
I mean, we can go there. We can go. I like Michael Barrett.
Let's go Bub Means.
All right.
Why not take a flyer on him in the 6th? Who the fuck?
Tip Raymond. Michael Barrett. All right. So now we're coming up on our last pick, which is 231 in round 7. And I don't know where Ben went, but
by the way, the Lions' new uniforms are sick.
All right, so we go Will Ricard.
I wouldn't hate the idea of taking a kicker because I'm not a.
Is it Reichard?
Will Reichard.
Reichard.
Yeah.
Ricard.
Hey, look, it's Bailey Zappi's replacement.
All right.
So he visited. This guy reportedly visited the Patriots as well. Wait! If he's available, he's gonna pick. Yeah,
Mark
he has
Perry.
to get picked. Dude, dude's visited with the Patriots like 6 times.
We just took Jalen Simpson.
Oh yeah, we just took Jalen Simpson.
Oh, frick off!
I was gonna say this: if you want a good
take Joe Milton and put him at tight end.
If you want a good defensive player, and this isn't the homer in me because as you can see, I didn't go any FSU at all. Fabian Lovett is a really good consolation prize if you miss on Christian Boyd.
Yeah, but is he cute?
Oh my god. What the fuck? He's good, man. I enjoyed watching him, bro.
All right, Ben, where are you at?
Marcus Harris is good too.
I mean, I don't love Chad Ryland. I wouldn't hate the idea of taking a kicker.
Riker's probably going to be UDFA.
But he's he's either going to go before this because somebody's going to take a flyer, or you could just sign him after the draft.
I would say we can go Lovett. We can go Dylan McMahon.
Devin Shear's still on the board. I mean, I know he took a corner, but Daquan Hardy's still there. Not the greatest corner, but could take Trey Knox.
Josh Wallace
moves.
I think we mocked him at last point. At this point,
Scary Franklin.
Evan Wilson. Okay, we don't need a safety. I think the Pats were met with him at the Shrine Bowl, if I remember right. Drake Nugent's another option. I actually kind of like this pick right here.
Yeah.
Hey, pair up.
JJ with his
center. Oh, the chemistry right there.
I would say Nugent or Lovett.
What does Lovett play? Is he inside or outside?
He plays both. He can play both.
So he's not gonna play inside a ton. That depends on what they run, right? Because they have Barmore on the inside.
Yeah, and we don't have Lawrence Guy.
I mean but we took Muhammad Kamara, who was
And the idea is Keon White should take a lot of reps there.
So I don't know I don't know if Lovett makes a ton of sense based on who they have and what we've done. I mean, and yeah, I don't know.
I would vote Drake Nugent, just so we can finally get a Drake.
All right, go ahead.
Good, we're done.
I'm sorry,
25.
Fabian. I tried, bro. Now he's gonna go to the
24.
Cowboys and be fucking all pro.
All right.
Let's see what our grade is. Can't wait to see how PFF thinks about us.
It's going to be a B minus.
I'm going to say a B. Oh, 2 new awards, Matt. Good job.
Yes.
Achievement Hunter.
Oh, God.
It's
God.
Oh, God.
Yikes.
Well, to be fair, PFF's like ranking isn't always the best.
Yeah, and it doesn't take into account that JJ McCarthy that JJ McCarthy is a fringe top 10 pick in the draft.
A double dip at Auburn too is unique.
People are gonna be so angry.
Are we gonna post this?
Matt's going to, and I can't wait to see the replies in his tweets.
I would say, I mean, people are gonna look at the fact that C+ was our best.
They're gonna look at the grade. They're not gonna look at the player and what like our mindset was.
Yeah.
They're just gonna think we did it on our phone really quickly.
Jerry, you know these guys. This guy, he kept commenting. I didn't see it.
No shit, Jake. Thank you. Somebody agrees with me. He's over fucking rated.
I like this one though. Love you too, man.
Love you, Matt.
Actually,
I gotta text him right now.
All right. So that's our mock, and people will have fun with this one. But look, I like Jalen McMillan. Bub Means is he's a wild card at this point. But hey, we hit on Tamara Douglas last year.
That's a brutal grade from PFF on Jalen Simpson in the 6th round.
Yeah, because we reached. They view. Look at all these rankings ahead.
Yeah,
every single one is like 25 ahead. Literally every single pick. This is the closest ranking to pick.
It's
13.
Yeah, and that was our best grade. Was a C+.
Yeah. I forgot that we took JJ McCarthy. All right. That will do it for tonight. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we can do one pod next week. Maybe next week before the draft. I was hoping to do a live pod during the draft, but Ben has children and value them higher than us. So unfortunately that's not going to be the case. But hey, until next time, we'll be back, and let's hope the Patriots just are able to take Drake May.
Yes,
and we don't have to deal with this.
Yeah, I'll get a text from Matt while I'm sitting in a theater watching my kid get an award, which is why
award ceremony.
You better be streaming it.
Man, you gotta once you see that Washington's on the clock, you need to say, okay, I'm going to the bathroom and sitting there for 20 minutes.
You're lucky my wife doesn't watch this because you're blowing my cover.
Missed ball game. I'm sorry, but we need him.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So the ceremony is at 7, and what's a relatively conservative guess for when the Pats go on the clock?
Like
about 9:30.
8:20, 8:30.
No. Remember they dragged that shit out.
Well, the draft starts at 8, and then the
draft starts at 8. But remember, there's a fucking opening ceremony they do for it. Roger Goodell gets up there and talks for a few minutes, and then he's like, "Finally, Chicago, you're now on the clock," and they milk every last second of it. So you're looking at about After all that, you're looking at like 40 minutes until the Patriots will even be on the clock.
Yeah, so maybe like 8:40. But all right. We'll talk about this another time. Goodbye till next week.
Good night.
Raise the banner loves you. Adios.